12 tribes never do too much. One flesh, gotta keep in touch. Ay. And we should be one flesh.
I really wanna know what's up with you, yeah. Certain things clear to see, you wanna build with me, but it's up to you, yeah. I know you wanna blush with me, lust in me, build trust with me. If you ain't with the word, then you not for me. If you is, go ahead and tie the knot with me. I know it's different on the west side, feeling yourself. Come on. You wanna build with me cause I'm reppin' the 12. Ferragamo ain't a thing, you got that on the shelf. You need a righteous man who gon' lead you from hell. Shorty looking for a change now. Know them blessings coming hard, watch it rain down. Found a lily in your garden, we could play around. You got a kingdom in a crown if you stay down.
You know
Baby
what I'm
girl,
trying
stay
to
down.
do. Alive, you ain't in this true. Aqua, I'ma keep it real. Come with me if you're trying to build. And we could be one flesh. We could be one flesh. Israelite love, this is not love. No Romeo and Juliet, that ain't us. This the death do us part when we make love. 12 tribes never do too much. One flesh, gotta keep in touch. Ay. And we should be one flesh. I'm a real when I be in the field. Salute. I don't want no drama, girl, I'm trying to build. Yeah. I heard you single like $1 bill. I heard you looking for a patient and I'm kinda ill. Your coronavirus, take that mask off. True beauty, fake booty, since that don't appeal. Yeah. Trying to conceive when I blast off. Need an air to bear my name if you're how I will. J Eunice when we trying to chill. That fire water when I'm trying to kill. Ooh, that daily bread, I gotta get it. Be a worker, be a business, all 7 trying to get a meal. Me and my Akim, yeah, we jail, get your bars up. This prophecy, don't let nobody say this all luck. These worldly jakes, baby, all they wanna do is but open up to me and we could be one flesh. We could be one flesh. Israelite love, this is not love. No Romeo and Juliet, that ain't us. This the death do us part when we make love. 12 tribes never do too much. One flesh, gotta keep in touch. Ay. And we should be one flesh. I can't even front, I've been waiting. I wanna do more than just dating. Girl, in my eyes, you're so amazing. You catch me staring on occasions. I hope your heart is still taking all the eye contact we making. I don't even know whether you Judah or you Ephraim, Northern or the Southern, it don't matter in the prelims. Looking for a righteous man, hey, I'm trying to be him. Grinding on the week, I'm on the corner on the weekend. Summertime love, girl, is cruising the caddy. It's undressing your heels, you a daddy. Feels like you're ready, I just wanna make you happy. Even as my queen, you can still call me daddy. Say you wanna wear it, and I'ma make it happen. Don't think you might have said compliance with your fashion. Not a politician, I'ma really make it happen. Ariana float, I'm the one, no capping. When I do
Shalom, family. How's everyone doing? All right, beautiful, beautiful. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. All right, so tonight's lesson is a man of war. All right, a man of war. So that's one I want you guys to definitely meditate on. And this lesson is going to be more conversational with touching on scriptures and different points to kind of fill in the gaps in between. But I want you to kind of meditate more so on the words being expressed and understanding as it is written in the scriptures, all right? So now, one of the biggest things is understanding what is war? What are we dealing with? Let's define it. Let's get a definition of war. Find it here using dictionary.com. Let's get the definition of war. It says war, a conflict carried on by force or arms as between nations or between parties within a nation. Warfare as by land, sea, or air. Now, one of the things we have to understand, are we at war? We are at war. We've been at war. And our number one enemy in this war is Esau. Aside from Esau is our own selves, the own battle we have internally with our own spirit, warring against the flesh, and us trying to overcome that flesh that we may receive of that kingdom that's promised to us. But we also have a physical war. So our war is both one that is fought and going to be fought physically as well as currently being fought spiritually. You have both. So we're tied into both, and we have to understand that there's a dynamic and a process for both of them. And I'm going to continue on with the definition. It said a state of or period of armed hostility, a contest carried on by force of arms, armed fighting as a science, profession, activity, or art. We deal with that there is an art to war, and the biggest thing with war is strategy. Let me get the definition of strategy. I'm going to read this. It says strategy, the science or art of combining and employing the means of war in planning and directing large military movements and operations. See, the biggest thing with war is strategy. War isn't something all of a sudden, okay, we just go to war. All right, that's it. Let's just go. War is something that's planned out. It's strategic. It's something that there's a lot of thought put into it. It's not something that just, all right, like you can just have it. Let's go on a date later on and, go to the movies. Okay, let's just go. That no, this is something that's carefully thought out. And there's different components that come to make sure that everything is properly handled the right way. Get Exodus 15:3. We further understand with our Father. Get Exodus chapter 15 and verse 3.
The book of Exodus chapter 15, verse 3. The Lord is a man of war.
So when it said the Lord is a man of war, he's saying, look, he's a masculine entity who is focused on strategy, planning. Now, one of the biggest things to understand the components of it, and we're going to get Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 11, is that in this current state, you guys have to be prepared for war. And understanding the first principle that you want to have is understanding mindset. Mindset is key. And the biggest thing that we don't value is the planning and thought process that comes with war. Like we just read in strategy. You have to plan. Well, how effective can I plan if I never have two components, time and peace? I have to have both, especially as literally as a man, because the man is supposed to be what? Get 1 Corinthians. In the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 14. I actually want 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and read verse 3.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is the Most High.
So now, it's letting us know that the head of the woman is who?
The head of the woman is the man.
The head of the woman is the man. That's very important because the man, he's there at the head. He's there to lead and guide. And the woman is also there, but she's subject unto the man. So she's of a lower level because she's supposed to be there guiding the children. But she has to understand the role that she plays, and she has to not only within and of herself give her husband space to think, plan, strategize, but she has to do what she can within her power to create that environment, to create a peaceable environment where he can think, plan, and strategize. Because they're different. And that entails more so than just, okay, he got time to think, but no, let me make sure I'm not pestering him. I'm not bugging him. I'm not allowing the children to be a distraction, and that they understand the value of his mind and the value of the space that's needed for him to develop a strategy to better guide the household. Because it takes time. It takes assessments. And those things we don't really value, because a lot of us, we don't really value wisdom. And the biggest thing we don't value, and I'm going to read this, and this is from The Art of War. I'm going to get page 1. There's a military action. Page 1, chapter 1, Strategic Assessments, Master Son. Military action is important to the nation. It is the ground of death and life, the path of survival and destruction. So it is imperative to examine it. However, one of the generals, Li Quan, says military action is inauspicious. It is only considered important because it is a matter of life and death, and there is the possibility that it may be taken up lightly. And most people take military action lightly. What's military action? Military action is everything from you purchasing a firearm, to you buying a generator, to you staying in shape, eating healthy. That's all military action. Because how effective is my military if the people in which are supposed to be groomed to prepare and fight are out of shape and unhealthy? Who can you carry? How far can you march, lead, run? It's ineffective. So now the first thing that carries military action is get yourself right in that regard. Another level is same thing. Okay, well, what if there's a power outage? What do we do? What do we have? You have to have provisions in place, supplies, logistics, firearms, how to use those firearms. That's all part of military action. But most people are not concerned with military action because it's one of those things. It's not a day-to-day thing that is primarily your concern because you don't have to deal with it. Especially for those living in the lovely country of Babylon, military action is the first thing on your mind. It's not seen as urgent or important for you until something happens. Now, all of a sudden, we're going to run off with like a chicken with their head cut off. Oh, we need supply. We're not ready. I don't have this and this, because you're not focused. It's not a priority because I continue to ignore it. We choose to prioritize the things that really aren't important or urgent. And I'll take that from another book. This book is actually called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a good book. You want to read it. And one of the habits we deal with is the category of urgent, not urgent, important, and not important. One of the areas that aren't really urgent or important is dealing with things that are just time wasters. Your video games, your movies, your TV shows, your escape activities. Let's go to the movies. Let's go to the park. Let's go to the beach. Let's go to theme parks. Those things aren't important nor urgent. They're just leisure activities, things that make us feel good. Now, there is a balance. I want to give balance because I don't want to paint a dynamic to where these things are wicked, unlawful, wrong, or bad. The biggest thing that we fail is balance. Let's get the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. Get the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, and I want to go ahead and read, I think I'm on verse 11. Let me see, Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. Actually, I want verse 1.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1. To everything there was a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven.
So there's a season and a time for everything. Everything has its place. There's a time to where, yes, definitely enjoy that time. Enjoy the time with your family, which we'll get into, which is a component of strategy. You do want to have that time of rest. But you don't want to overindulge in anything. That's the key thing. You don't want to overindulge. You don't want to overdo it to where you enjoyed all of that, but you didn't handle your business in these other areas. That's one of the key things. So the biggest thing is things that are when it becomes excessive. Now, one thing I do want to get the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 38. Because with it, like we talked about, that wisdom in that time, that peace, you got to have that leisure. And the scriptures speak about that. This is why. Read Ecclesiastes chapter 38 in verse 24.
Ecclesiastes chapter 38, verse 24.
Mm-hmm.
The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure.
Of what?
Of leisure.
Of leisure. That leisure is very important. Now, what you do with it is also important, but the first thing is getting it. And then deciding, what should I do? What should I do to be more effective? But it's the opportunity of leisure, read.
And he that hath little business shall become wise.
Right, and that's the key thing we want. We want to become wise. And the biggest thing is understanding, get Proverbs 14:1, we're going to come back to that, is understanding that our women play a key role in creating that type of environment. Building her household, building her nation, because she's the pillar of it. The pillar holds up the house. If likened it to the body, she'd be the spine. You support that body. The man may be the head. Yes, the head can move, do everything it can, but let that spine become severely injured, he become immobilized. And now, what good is that head if the body won't follow? Wants his legs to move, but they can't. They're immobilized. Because the key component, that spine, that back, it's been injured. That's like what the woman is. She has the ability to set that body in motion to where now he's able to run, do what he needs to do, or immobilize him to where he needs help to just do basic things. That is the power of a woman. And if she's not careful, she can be leading her household and as a collective, the nation, into a place of destruction, in a place to where they're not able to mobilize the way they need to, because here you have chains and fetters on the feet slowing you down. And either one is in their hands, that uplift the nation or destroy the nation. So now, go ahead and read Proverbs 14:1.
The book of Proverbs chapter 14, verse 1. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands.
Every wise woman's going to do things to enable to build her house. But every foolish one is going to pluck it down with her hands. Your hands are your actions. That's everything. You're going to do things and do actions and things that are contrary and counterproductive to building your household. And then you're going to get in a place, because there's nothing worse, and I've seen it many times, and it happens to where a lot of times they prioritize the dates, the outings, and you'll fight for that. We need to do more of that. We don't get out enough. We don't go here enough. But your mind is far from the preparations of, do we have enough supply? Do we have enough batteries? Do we have enough flashlights? Do we have enough generators? Do we have enough solar panels? Do we have, enough gas in our vehicle? Do we have enough extra gas? Your mind isn't on prioritizing those things the way that it should be. To where then when you get to a place where something happens, there's a panic to where now we're not prepared. You look to the man, we're not as prepared as what we should be. Well, of course we're not, because you prioritize doing all these other things in which a lot of times the man is going to sway towards you because he wants to please you. So, all right, she want to go, all right, let's go. We got the money. You're right, we ain't vacation. Let's go ahead and sure, yeah. You'll go and spend the $3,000 on the vacation, but lo and behold, $3,000 to get, medical supplies. It's like, why are we doing that? I could have went to a vacation for this. Yet and still, you'd rather spend hundreds, thousands of dollars to have joy and pleasure for a moment than to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for things that can prepare you for whatever may happen. When it will happen. Because the scripture tells you it will happen. It's just a matter of when. That's the difference. And that isn't everyone, but that's just generalization. You have some men that are more, hey, live it up. And you have some women that are more, we need to prepare. So, but it's just the general nature of both of us. So now from there, I want to go ahead and let's go back. I want to get a couple other things The first important thing when it comes down to man of war is actually, first thing is actually going to be rest. Rest and recovery, especially in this day and age with COVID. I want you guys to make sure you rest. Many of you are in a place to where either you have or you still are in a place to where you don't work as many hours. Your hours have been cut. That's now, guess what? Leisure time you've gained. With that time, the biggest thing you want to do is first rest, recover. Also, many laid off, fired. If you can go without it, okay, rest for a season. Relax for a season. You need it. Your body needs it. Your mind needs it. Your family needs it. Get Sirach 14 and 13. Here's why this is important. Sirach 14 and 13.
The book of Sirach, chapter 14, verse 13. Do good unto thy friend before thou die, and according to thy ability, stretch out thy hand and give to him.
So understanding when you have friends, family, loved ones, do good while you're yet alive, while you have the time, while you have the energy, before you get sick, before you die. And also according to your ability, stretch out thy hand and give and aid and help. That's what you want to remember. That is very, very important. Rest is important. Rest is no different than a similitude. Think about exercise. Many people say, hey, I go to the gym, work out all the time. Well, just as important as it is to stay hydrated, lift those weights, do those pull-ups, push-ups, whatever it is also equally important, even at certain times greater, to make sure you rest and recover. Rest and recover. Otherwise, you won't reap the benefit of all the labor you've been putting in. Your body isn't recovering. Those muscles aren't recovering, and therefore you actually risk further injury. You end up tearing a muscle or tearing a ligament, overexertion. Same thing, your mind needs to rest. You can't be in a place where you're overly stressed, overly anxious. You can't work in that environment. So you need to take time to rest, recover, and put yourself in a spirit to be able to deal with those types of problems. That's many times we even leads to arguments in the households, even amongst spouses and children and friends. A lot of times we're more stressed to where I give you the least of me, not the best of me, because I'm stressed, anxious, worried about other things or from today's work or just what I'm dealing with in other parts of my life, to where I can't cater you the way I need to. I need to woosah. Let that negative energy go. Read verse 11 in the same chapter.
Verse 11, my son, according to thy ability, do good to thyself.
So the same thing, when you deal with that rest and recovery, you're also dealing with that leisure of fun. But according to thy ability, yes, do good to yourself. You need that time to where, shoot, I'm just going out for a drive. You know what? I'm just going to go chill at the beach. You need that. That's a necessity. Read on.
And give the Lord his due offering.
Make sure you're balanced. Give the Most High his due offering. Now, let's get Isaiah 55 and 2. This is the balance. Get Isaiah 55 and 2.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 2. Wherefore do ye spend money for that which is not bread?
So now, scriptures give you, why do we put so much finances toward things that are not necessarily part of sustaining our day-to-day living? Why you put so much money into buying clothes, shoes, all these outings that don't equate to what is needed to sustain you on a day-to-day basis? The extras. You really need all that? Read on.
And your labor for that which satisfieth not.
And you labor, you work these extra hours, extra jobs. You take on things to labor for those things that really at the end of the day is not even really going to satisfy you. Think about it. With this flesh, being in the flesh, being in carnality, you don't tire of pleasure. If it was up to us, we want to shoot, party every day and drink and eat fried chicken every day and barbecue and vacation and where we going next, and we went to the Bahamas, and next we go to Paris and shoot the desserts. We'd want that. That's the kingdom. That's rest. But it's good to see, why are you laboring so hard to do those things now? They're not truly going to satisfy you. And the amount of money you engulfed into that, yet and still, when you weigh in the balance, the amount of money and time we spend on pleasure to the amount of money and time we spend on preparation, it is greatly offset. Many have spent years, because many watching this is in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. How much pleasure have you had versus how much preparation have you made in provision? And weighed in the balance. And then in all these years, when did you finally tired of where, you know what, I've had enough pleasure, now I really need to focus on preparing? When did you reach that point? Most of us never. It was a place, and that's why the best thing to do is have balance. You can sacrifice more of that pleasure in order to give a higher level of preparedness. Because many of those things, it's not going to satisfy you long term. Many of those things, okay, it's like I finally get to a point, it's like, all right, I like this show. Let me just relax and watch this show. And then the show's over. Let me find another show to watch. Then that show, let me find another show. Then, okay, I watch a lot of I really need to start reading these books. It never gets to that point. That's very, very important. Because now, aside from there, the biggest thing that comes down to, war and strategy is awareness. You have to be aware. You have to be cognizant of what's going on around you, what's going on in media, what's going on in life, and where you're at and where you need to be at. You got to be aware. Without being aware, you don't have, like people do with ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is not bliss. Because what you don't know can ultimately hurt you or affect you. What you don't know can literally cost you your life, or it can cost you money, finances. Exhibit A, being that many drive a vehicle. Most in this day and age drive a vehicle, but how many know how it works, the operation of it? Yet you drive it, you use it every single day. But yet and still you understand very little about how it operates. Even the basics, most people don't even understand gas. Give me the good gas. What's the good gas? The high number. That's not how it works. The low number, that's the cheap gas. Don't put that in my vehicle. You have many people that say, don't put that cheap gas in my vehicle. The numbers represent the octane level of the actual vehicle. That engine, the octane level. That's the pressure that vehicle actually needs in order to run efficiently. You have to look up for your vehicle what octane level is needed. That's knowledge. But what's the understanding? Well, the understanding is that if you put the wrong octane level in your vehicle, you're going to use more gas. And you're going to spend more money. That's the understanding. What's wisdom now? Wisdom is what you need to do is research your vehicle and what octane level is needed to help save you gas, which will save you money. And even for yourself, do your own controlled study. Well, let me try each one and see which one my vehicle operates best on. You have a button right there in your odometer that can set trip A and trip B. Push the button, hold it, reset it. Let's try trip A. How many miles do I go with 87? How many miles do I go with 89? How many miles do I go with 91? Log it and see, you know what? My vehicle, it actually works best on 91. I barely went. So I had to get gas in 3 days, messing around with 87. I've been doing that for the past 5 years. Well, now I know. And I know better. Now I can do better. Because once again, and this is why it go back to where we were in Ecclesiastes, chapter 38 and verse 24.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 38, verse 24. Mm-hmm. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure.
See, a lot of those things, it takes leisure time. That leisure time is there for you to apply in a productive way. Yeah, take a little break, take a little rest, but now, what can I learn? What can I study? How can I grow? What is it that I should be aware of that can possibly be hurting me? That's one of my pet peeves. What is it I should know that could possibly be hurting me right now? And you research things. It's going to tell you a wise person, they're going to research for anything. Get Sirach 16 and 23.
The book of Sirach, chapter 16, verse 23. He that wanteth understanding will
He that wanteth understanding, you seek to get the understanding of, okay, how these things work. How does this work? What is the benefit in this? Read.
will think upon vain things.
Will think upon vain things. 'Cause that's a vain thing. It's like, who sit up there and thinking, how does gas work? Why do I put this in my vehicle? What does it do? Why do I push this button versus these other buttons? They all right here. Why do you do it? Let me understand. And then, okay, cool. This makes sense. And then what the best gas I should put in if I have a lawnmower or a weed eater? What should I be putting in there? Does it even matter? Let me check. I use these things, and me not knowing, I could possibly be damaging or hurting what it is that I'm using. And then guess what? It takes even further, because a man of war, one of strategy, is going to know whatever it is I spend money on is an investment. I need to measure twice and cut once. Understanding, and this is one of the other things we're going to get into, the planning and thought process, knowing that, okay, when it comes down to prayer, it doesn't matter if it's a dang cell phone. This is an investment. I need to make sure I get something that is going to last. Lest I get something that's whatever, and it's like, dang, this mug tripping. It broke on me. I need to get another one. You know, what was the quality of investment? Why did I spend everything from computer? I don't care if it's my dang water bottle. Why'd I get this one? You know, versus any other one. Well, it's glass. Why'd you get glass? Plastic is unhealthy. And then if I were to not get plastic, I would go titanium. But titanium still not healthy. Glass is better than titanium and plastic. So if I can afford glass, I get glass. Why'd you get in this? But it looks titanium. Well, that's an insulator. So that what I put in here helps maintain the temperature of what I keep in here. What's hot stays hotter. What's cold stays colder. So it's glass insulated in titanium. So you have things of that nature. So everything it does, you want it to make sense. Why I do things, why I apply and research everything. What's the best I can get in every area? When you have a mindset, it applies into everything else that you do. Don't just get whatever firearm. Okay, why am I getting this firearm? Why am I getting this ammunition? What works best? Should I just get any? Does it matter? You really have to put yourself in a place to ask why. That's being aware of whatever it is in regards to what it is you're getting and why. That's an awareness that you have to have and maintain and keep. And that thought process you want to continue with you in across every spectrum. Even right now, it's like, shoot, okay, being aware what season I'm in. Okay, shoot, a lot of deals and discounts. So now I can capitalize off deals and discounts, and I get many things for the year. Clothes for my kids, clothes, jackets, shoes. Get 2-3 sizes up. Buy it in bulk. You're going to buy it anyway, spend the money. Okay, cool. I'm making a wise investment for my household. I don't mind going in debt. I'm going to spend that money anyway throughout the year. Get it to where, okay, many of these deals I got 50% off. And I save money to where instead of me spending throughout the year this $400, for example, I spent $200 at this point in time. I capitalize on my investment. You got to think like that. That's strategy. That's business. You got to think like that as men and women of the Lord especially. That's what being that Proverbs 31 woman is all about. I see an investment. Okay, it'll be better if we spend it now to where I have the right, go to my husband and say, baby, we should go ahead, buy this and spend this because it'll be more effective if we go ahead and buy all these sponges and this laundry detergent and this dish detergent, dish liquid at this point in time because overall it's going to save us $50, you know, and I go ahead and do that. Hey, got a storage in the garage, put it in there, and then go ahead, take it out as you need it. It's worth it. That's what I do all my subscriptions, same thing. You do that. You follow the same mindset to where, okay, a lot of these things, 50% off. Okay, I get discounts in this Microsoft family account. Okay, cool. I share it with other brothers and sisters. I don't just get one account, get a Microsoft family account. Share it with 4 or 5 other Israelites around you. That way, it saves us money in the long term. You compare subscriptions. Do things that's plan. You look at everything around you. And I say this because I want you have to capitalize off of it. Don't just, all right, well, just kind of be aware, pay attention. No, this is all awareness, being aware of the deals, discounts, because one thing you understand, when you learn wisdom is applicable in all areas. Wisdom is not singular. Now, what may be wise to execute in one situation may not be as wise in another situation,
However, wisdom itself is universal. And you don't have to necessarily have the most knowledge in this particular area to make a wise decision. It's part of like what you have, like that's the whole reason why you have a CEO in the first place, or a manager or supervisor. I don't have to know the in-depth of every particular job position. I just have to know how to lead it aright. No different than, okay, take a lot of time leadership teams. You have it to where, we'll deal with this because this is another strategy is leadership. With leadership, understanding that leadership is a team effort. It's a team effort. It's not about me being dependent, independent, but interdependent. A dependent person is what you don't want to be. When you're dependent, need to be in a physical place, I have to depend on or rely on someone else to help me maneuver physically. I'm limited on what it is I'm able to do physically. When I'm emotionally dependent, it has two dynamics. Dynamic one is I need others to help make me feel good or feel better. On the other side, I blame others for the lack of my own happiness or satisfaction. I'm dependent on people to make me feel good. I also blame them when they make me feel bad. Independent, I can operate on my own physically. I can do what it is I need to do for myself. Emotionally, mentally, I don't have to rely on someone else to make me happy or make me feel bad. I can, feel confident, feel good in myself. Now, the key we're getting to is interdependency. When I'm interdependent, I can operate on my own, but understand the value in working with others, team effort, and knowing that I can accomplish more joining myself, working with someone else than I can alone by myself. So I understand its value. We work together, understanding and wisdom. 2 is better than 1, which the scriptures speak of. How can one keep warm alone? 2 is better than 1. And a threefold cord is not easily broken, it says in the book of Psalms. So now I understand that dynamic of teamwork. So now even in a team, and one of the best examples I like is like Captain America. When you look at the Avengers, Captain America is not the strongest. He's not the strongest by far. There's many that are stronger than him. Again, Captain America is not the fastest either. Many that are faster than him. Captain America can't fly. He doesn't know how to fly. Captain America isn't even the genius or the brainiac out of the group. Many that are much smarter than him. Why then is Captain America the leader? Because that's the thing. His ability to lead is why he's the leader. Leadership deals with being able to make decisions in the best interest of the people in the team. Leadership means an absence of arrogance and pride. You always look at it. One may be the brainiac, but may be arrogant and prideful because all is not. Knowledge puffs up. What do you have to do, Doc? Just separate the quantum flux capacitor by the English. Let me do it. You nincompoops. They never know anything. May be too prideful to be leader. Or may not have the ability to lead. It's once again, Doc, what do we do? If we just need, people to go over here and Doc, where do you need us to go? It's just, just maybe too timid to lead, in that regard. You may have that. So leadership is an area that is not easy. It takes balance. It takes a level of, and like I went over with my team, the 6 paths of leadership, which going over it, and this is one that's very key because leadership deals with certain times you have to be an authoritative or autocratic leader. Certain times you got to just give a command, hey, I need all you guys move from this side of the room to this side of the room. Let's go ahead and make it happen. At certain time that has to be it. You got to just give the command. But the negative is you can't always be in that particular place because then it becomes negative if it's not needed. And that's you just always commanding everything to do. You, come here. You, go over there. Hey, why you late? Shouldn't be late again. Get out of here. Becomes negative environment. Because why? It's good. You got to, get Sirach. Chapter 11 and verse 7.
The book of Sirach, chapter 11, verse 7.
7 and 8.
Blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first, and then rebuke. Answer not before thou hast heard the cause, neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk.
So one who's wise, and this all relates, this is all man of war, thinking strategically why these things matter. Can't be in a place where you're quick to jump to conclusions, blame, and you haven't examined the truth. And this is where you deal with paradigms, thought process, where I'm at. If I'm in a place, Exhibit A, here it is, I asked my wife to go to the store, baby, can you give me some strawberry ice cream? She goes to the store. All right, I'm going to the store. She comes back with vanilla. I see vanilla in her hand, I'm automatically offended. Why'd you get vanilla? Come on, I told you to get strawberry. You don't even listen to me. See, that's what I mean. You don't pay attention. Here it is, bringing back something. I didn't tell you to get that. I asked for strawberry. He feels rightly justified in scolding or chastening his wife. Because now, what did that show? You didn't listen to me. And this is everything, your process. It may not be verbalized, but this was you didn't listen to me. Shows you don't listen. On top of that, lack of consideration. You didn't really consider what it is I wanted. So I feel less valued. Don't feel as important in the situation. Then it's also a place to where did you do your due diligence to go and just because this store didn't have it, did you go and check this other location to see if maybe they had it? But that's paradigm one. But now, here's the situation. I never inquired as to why she brought home the vanilla ice cream. Now, my job as a leader, as a husband, I messed up. I got to eat that. Because guess what? When I hear my wife's explanation, now she says, well, baby, I went to 2 stores. They didn't have any strawberry ice cream. Ooh, now I'm hurt. Because now there's a paradigm shift. Paradigm is your frame or thought process, a way of thinking. Now that thinking just shifted to where now what happened? All those feelings I had become the opposite. Well, she did consider me. She does value me. She did take the time to consider me. She did try to go to another store to see if maybe they had it over here. To where now I have to say, baby, I apologize. I didn't know that you did that. And it isn't for her to say, well, you should have asked. Nah, that's out of order. Don't do that. It's wait for your husband to acknowledge his wrong, and you know what? I wasn't as considerate. That the scripture says, I blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first, and then rebuke. Because if you understand first, may not be a need to rebuke. That's leadership. That is a man of war. That's strategy. You have to be an effective leader. It's no different, same thing on your job. And this is where I think wisdom. If you learn in one area, it will domino to other areas. You learn it in that, you can learn it and apply it in other areas. No different than if you're a supervisor manager on the job. Here it is. You have an employee. They come in late. You don't want to be the authoritative leader. Don't want to say, you're late, I'm writing you up. You're late, get out of here. You're fired. That's an authoritative leader or autocratic leader. You want to be rather the affiliative leader. That is when you shift the type of leader I should be in that situation. All right, let me be more the affiliative leader. Affiliative leader is like I said, that's more like Captain America. You look to try to heal. Look at rifts in your team and look, how can I heal those rifts? How can I understand what's going on and try to improve the situation through team cohesion or through, thought process, reasoning, understanding, empathy, in the situation where, okay, this person's late. Let me understand why you're late. Hey, what's going on? Let me talk to you. What's going on? Man, talk to me. There's just bad traffic, or you know what? My wife got sick, or you know what? I had to take my kids to daycare, or you know what? Daycare is currently closed, so I had to drop my kids off with grandparents. Okay, it's understand. You get an understanding to see what the cause is. Certain times it may just be, okay, chance that may happen. Other times it may be a seasonal change. This person has been in this behavior for a while. It's been multiple times. Well, should I go ahead and chasten them? Understand first, because this person depressed. The person going through something. It could be all of a sudden, my wife left me. Or sister, husband left me, or died. Well, it will make sense as to why you have been a little slow on your movement, slower at work. Your work level has decreased. Your output has decreased. You're not as, expressive as what you used to be. And with that understanding, you know what? The best thing to do, take a week off. And then come back, when you're ready to work. Or, hey, maybe I can't, it's not in my power. I can't give you, a week off, but I can give you, a couple of days. Take, 3 days off. That is more effective. Because you're not going to be as effective coming here every day and you're in this state. You need time to rest, reflect, work on yourself, work on your spirit, and then, you'll be able to come back in a better place. That's leadership. That's strategy. There's no need in me forcing you to be here. No different than what Esau thinking. If I work you 9 to 5, every day of the week, Monday through Friday, I'm going to get more work out of you. No, you're not. You get more work if you institute vacation days, sick days. You'll get more work out of them that way. Because they can be there 9 to 5 doesn't mean they're getting more work done. I'm tired. I don't feel like being here. I'm going to drag it out. That's where it goes. But if you give them more rest, they'll feel more rejuvenated. They'll feel better. And then they'll appreciate you more as an employer or as a company. And they'll be more willing to work rather than if you hadn't done those things. That's all thinking straight. That's all strategic planning. That's all things that are going to get you more success long term. No different than job training. It's inconvenience short term. You got to stop doing what I'm doing to teach and guide you. That's what a leader's supposed to do. I'm supposed to teach, guide, show. And then after I spend time doing that, it's going to be more effective in the future because now I have help. I properly groomed up someone else to be an aid to me. To where now, two are better than one. I can handle this, and now this person is adequate to handle this area because I poured that into them. But it takes time. Same thing that you have to do within your household and your kids. See, me, as a man of war, literally, I've been to war. Being in a place to where and been on deployment, and yes, been in combat unit, and yes, being out on missions. So on a regular. So now being in a place to where understanding, man of war understands to where if I have these experiences, it makes sense for me to teach those that I love, especially those of my own household, how to better prepare and govern themselves and instilling those principles within them. And that's those values. If I don't instill value in those around me, and if they don't understand value, even those watching, you don't understand the value of preparing military action, then it's not going to be effective. Your household isn't going to work the way it needs to, and that man's going to have a lot of problems, especially if you as a wife don't understand. Because if you don't understand and you don't have that value system, that means instead of you being appreciative, you're going to be adverse. So instead of you being appreciative that, okay, husband went out and he brought $1,500 generator, and got it for in case the power goes out, you're going to feel, why'd you spend money on that? Because you're going to feel like it's a waste. That's not something we can use immediately. I go in the kitchen, lights work fine. Why'd you get a generator? The power goes out. Lights work fine. Because the mindset isn't one of preparation where, well, yes, the lights work fine now, but what if the lights go out? Then what do we do? Their mind isn't there to where, well, lights go out. They'll turn them on eventually. But when's eventually? And then you have other times to where, and that's how it was even then for me and my ex-wife. I spent money to get a generator. And that generator can sit in a corner 300 and if you're going by Esau's calendar, 364 days out of the year. And it's that one day power goes out for 24 hours and it came in handy. That's fine because the one day that food didn't spoil. It was still good. Freezer didn't defrost. You had to take everything out. It was all still good. You still had light, do your showering, your grooming, your bathing. That's very important. And certain things you do Because once again, as that leader, you make sure to where you train, you practice, you rehearse. You need time to go ahead and where, you know what, household, we're going to go a week without power. No power for a week. Tape down all the light switches, everything that needs power. Tape it all down. See how you fare. See how you do. That's an assessment. That's a test. You may realize, you know what? You may be at dinner with this flashlight on the side, but you know what? Even with this flashlight right here, this ain't as good. We need to invest in something a little better. You learn that through trial and error. Had you not gone through, you wouldn't know. You'd be like, all right, well, it happens. We'll just deal with it. And you're more uncomfortable than what you need to be because you never strategically assess your situation to see do you have the provisions needed in the event of that emergency. So now it's, let me get a floodlight. Well, what's the difference of a floodlight? Look it up. You'll see the difference. Floodlight is better. Then you may say, you know what? Let me get a solar charged floodlight. That way, I don't have to always rely on batteries. What happens if I run out of batteries? So I get, once again, and sometime there you build to where year by year you got better. You went from nothing to where now we got a flashlight. Now we got a floodlight. Now we got a solar powered floodlight or lantern. To where you build upon it, you become better prepared. And that takes strategic time, leisure, assessment, practice, training. That's why anything we deal with, any man of war would understand, preparing is not a one-day thing. All right, we did it. It's done. All right, it's just once a year. We check. We good. It's a lifestyle. Because there's so many different areas and components that are needed to make sure everything is efficient. You don't just say, all right, I'm good. We made sure we were good for power outage, that's it. What about a fire? What about an earthquake? What about a flood? Or depending on where you are, tsunami, hurricane, whatever it is you may do. Do we have what we can get? And are we willing to sacrifice some leisure or pleasure in order to accrue what's needed? Slowly but surely. You build slowly but surely. No different than anything else. You don't go to the gym one day and be like, all right, I worked out, I'm good. All right, I walked on the treadmill for a little bit, I'm good for the year. You wouldn't do that. Everything the Most High teaches us is balance, and he also teaches us you reap what you sow. You have to put in the labor. You sow sparingly, you reap sparingly. Sow abundantly, you reap abundantly. So, you reap what you sow. So if I'm in a place, I practice and I rehearse to make sure my kids know what to do, spouse knows what to do, doing a good job. Now, if all of a sudden, because I would do that, randomly, I'll go in there with ex-wife and kids, earthquake, earthquake, earthquake. See what they do, respond. Kids respond, ex-wife will respond. Good. That was a test of your emergency broadcast system. Everyone did well. You may resume your regular daily schedule and do it at different times. And you have to do it at times that are inconvenient for you. You can't just do it where, all right, here it is, we're all good and alert. Okay, well, look, we're going to let our food digest, and after dinner, we're going to do, we're going to do a fire emergency, That's good here and there. But when you're going to finally get hit 3 o'clock in the morning, midnight, 1 o'clock, you got to get hit at inconvenient times. Because everything's going to be convenient when you want it to happen. That's part of it being an emergency. Didn't happen convenient. I wasn't expecting this to happen. But it happened. And I have to adjust to it. It's like no different. Shoot. And many of those who have been in places like Iraq, Afghanistan, know we should shoot. Them mortars go off and the IDF, indirect fire, missiles coming down. Any point in time, incoming. I know people who got blown up just like we talking, and the next day, man, so-and-so got blown up waiting for the bus. Damn, for real? They having this funeral. You got blown up waiting for the bus. Dang, that's crazy. We were just with them. It happens. Yeah, you get woken up out of your sleep. run to a bunker, put on helmet, gear, everything else, and you get that on a regular. I remember one time it was like it came incoming, probably started at, it was like 1 to 4. It just, man, on certain bases it's like mortars coming in constantly. So it depends, but nevertheless, stay alert, stay alive. So those are just things, to think about. Now let's get, next thing I want to actually get is, let me read this. So I read this with military action, but now it said the survival or destruction of a country and the life or death of its people may depend on military action. So it is necessary to examine it carefully. Because all the things someone said, well, damn, all these things, and why is all this important? Why does it all have to do with war? Because it all runs in tangent. It all syncs up. And so it's very important to understand each of these dynamics and how you put them together to better prepare for whatever it is that's coming your way. And a lot of it is the foundation of just wisdom. And learning it in these areas, it'll gravitate to these areas. So it's no different than if I say, okay, well, if you're someone you understand, okay, you know how to speak multiple languages. Your kid should also know how to speak multiple languages. You have that gift, that skill, and that ability. It's not effective for your household, the kingdom, or the nation of our people to where you know multiple languages, but then your kids don't know any of them. Because with those languages, I'll never forget, it was one time, and this is just, you never know when it may come in handy, because not only on one end, economically, that's a job. You never know. You can have 3 kids. I taught all of them, let's just say, French, German, Spanish, if that's what you knew, for example. You taught them French, German, Spanish. They grew up learning that. You may have learned it, may feel, they may not need it or really use it, so I don't really teach it to them. I don't really have that desire to teach it to them. But then they learning it, and one may actually get a job as a tutor in teaching German. Another one may actually grow up be a teacher and teach French. Another one may actually grow up and be a translator. You never know, but because you put that skill set in them, you opened up that door of opportunity for them. And you created jobs for them since they were little. To where naturally they have no fear in going into that area because, oh yeah, I speak German, French, fluently. My mom taught me, or my grandma taught me, or my dad taught me. He would always speak to us in German. He would always speak to us in Spanish or French, whatever it is. So it's natural for them to where it's easy. And that creates a secondary resource for them if they ever fall in hard times. You know what? It's not my first thing to do. I don't really want to do this, but I can pick it up to get some extra money on the side because I learned that, and that's an asset. I'm now more of an asset in a situation. We don't teach our people, especially our kids and our family, the ability to have skill sets and assets that can be of use not only to you but to others. Because heck, I never forget, I was one time, I was stuck in a situation with 2 different sides of people speaking 2 different languages. We all speaking 3 different languages, and we trying to communicate. Over here with this Polish dude, and then this Arab dude speaking 2 different languages, and then trying to understand a situation with another dude coming, which I was like, does he even have a bomb strapped to? Can you be so, anxious when this person coming and he coming kind of aggressive? Should I shoot him? Polish dude seemed calm, so I was calmer, So, and good thing because he told us about a bomb up on the road ahead. I would have shot him. I would have lost that intel. And then he was actually coming to help. So it's risky, But nevertheless, had I known those languages, it would have made it easier in that sense of communication. So now everything is just gestures, trying to understand. So even when it comes down to other areas of not just that language, but it doesn't matter what your skill set is, whether taxes, finances, plumbing, construction, mechanics, those are skills that helps empower your people and your nation. It helps makes them wiser in those areas. Same in my case, making sure I teach medical and other aspects of training, safety, things of that nature to help strengthen my household and my community. No sense to where if I learned it, y'all don't know it or y'all don't learn it. I didn't try to put those things in place to teach you. And that's what you have to do with your family. That's why we train. That's why we prepare. Man of War understands that and knows to where if I do that with you, the younger you are, then the faster you're going to grow up and be natural in that ability. And then it makes it even better because sometimes many of us, we wish certain things we got from a young age and got instilled because it would have set me up so much higher later to where you can do that with others. Your nephews, nieces, grandchildren, children, and get them in that place to where, look, I didn't get it at this time, but at least what I got at 34, you can get, at 5 or 8 or 15. And you can create in them what it is you would have hoped or wished your parents instilled in you. Damn, I didn't learn this. I had to learn this the hard way. Let me give it to you the easy way. What sense does it make to where if you struggled in certain areas that now you leave a generation behind you has to go through the same struggle? That's not very strategic. Because the whole goal is to try to get ahead. Even if you're in a place to where, okay, look, my parents didn't leave me a house. I didn't have the ability to leave you a house, but at least I can teach you the things that are needed to get a house. That can help you start planning earlier to get what's needed. So you have that. So now, next thing, let's get Isaiah 56 and 10.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 56, verse 10. His watchmen are blind.
His watchmen are what?
Are blind.
Read.
They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving a slumber.
So now, what is a watchman? Watchman is one who's supposed to be a person who keeps guard. It could be over a building at night or to protect it from fire, vandals, or thieves. But someone who's aware, they're watching for particular dangers. So now, if you're in a place where you're blind, you can't see, you're not aware of these things, you're not paying attention, you're not looking for them to where these things can happen on your watch. And yet and still, you're in a place to where you're liable because you're the one who's supposed to be on watch. It's like, here it is. Imagine being a watchman, and here it is. You got a whole army that came out of nowhere, and you ain't see that? You ain't see all that? What was you doing? I was asleep. Figures. You missed a whole army. They got the drop on us. That's security. Security is very key. And others say it many times here. Taiwan and many others, mention it to where security is very key. And it's not necessarily highlighted in the world the way that it should be. We more so mock it and make fun of it. But security is very key because that's supposed to be the watchman. Watch out for danger. Report what it is that you see. That's an important job. Having people to look out for danger, keeping watch at different hours of the night and times of the day. So you can warn others to where, hey, this is what I saw. This is what's coming. But yet and still the scripture with his watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They're all dumb dogs. So they cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving a slumber. What's dumb? Dumb is lacking intelligence or good judgment, or lacking the power of speech, or refraining from any or much speech. You're silent. That's not good either. So in a place to where what good because especially knowing as leaders, need you be you leading your children as a man, your spouse, or as leader a body or congregation, whether it be 2 people or 200 people. You're supposed to be there to be in a place to where you speak on the things that need to be spoken up on. And don't refrain from speaking on it because you're not helping the people at that point in time. You're hurting them. Because what good is the dog that don't bark? That's one of the biggest things you could at least do. It's like, golly, you ever see that dog the way there's someone coming in the backyard? You ain't bark or nothing. You just let them come back there. Ain't no alarm go off. What good are you? I might as well got a cat. And then at the same time, it's all right. If there is some sort of harm or danger, at least I hope you try to bite them, slow them down or something. Go for the ankles, something. Not in a place to where it's just you just see them. But that's how our people are. Danger, you don't even speak on. It's like all of these, how could I say, all of these, we live in a day and age where everyone wants to be conscious and everyone wants to be an influencer. Yet and still, when major problems happen or things are going on, they become the ones that are most silent. Like, they be so active, and then things happen, it's like, where is such and such? Where brother such and such been? Oh, where's such and so speaking on now? You may see it. Those who know certain, individuals that that are out there, they be speaking, they just be quiet. Your people still need that guidance and that advice on how to prepare, not only prior, but even in the situation, or in the onset when you see things getting worse. Even if it's just those reminders, or having someone give those reminders, which even other brothers do. Hey, make sure you get this. Make sure you grab that. You don't have to be the one saying everything, but at least others that co-sign with you, part of your organization situation, saying, look, make sure you're preparing, getting this and getting that, to where I don't have to say it, but if he's saying it, it's good, just as good as me saying it. I ain't got to double tap. It's all right. The brother already said it. He spoke. Same thing. Or that brother said in the back. Now you got to, like, brother like Yaquatazar saying it. Okay, good. Yaquatazar saying it. So, good enough. Y'all heard him. I ain't got to keep saying, I ain't got to follow up with, he say, make sure y'all get water. Then I make sure y'all get water. He said it. Make sure you have provisions in place. Because the Most High teaches you prepare. Get ready. So now, let me get Psalm 73 and 22. Because this is what we don't want. This is what we do with woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's always too late. We don't want woulda, coulda, shoulda. If only I would have. Man, I could have did. It's Psalm 73 and 22.
The book of Psalms, chapter 73, verse 22.
Go ahead and read it.
So foolish was I, and ignorant.
See, we don't want that to be. You don't want you to be in a place to where, man, I was foolish. I was ignorant. Now, I want you to be, you was wise. You was learned. You was strategic. Because that's what's going to help alleviate problems. It isn't honorable to be like, damn, I was just foolish. No, I was just ignorant. That you don't want that. Because now you suffered and you put yourself in a place of being a liability, whereas you could have put yourself in a place being an asset. So now you can still make up for it by, all right, well, let me help show and teach others how not to make those same mistakes. Because certain things is, you don't have to be in a place where, okay, I personally know all of these things, but now it's a place, you know what, I made these mistakes and I learned from them, and I want to help others not make those same mistakes. That's a place, that's what's needed. That's why you have parents. That's why you have grandparents. They're supposed to be the grandparent. They're supposed to be the parent over your parent, to where you get even more wisdom from them. Because the parent is literally learning to parent, where the grandparent has already done it. This is where I went wrong with you. This is where I could have been better. To where these are the things that you should do for them. You should encourage and instill in them. That I tried to instill in you, or I did a little bit, but I could have been a little more effective. And that now I want to give grandchildren. Because you're still a parent. And when you look at, that's how Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob moved. Jacob still had Abraham. He was still in the tents with him. The scriptures tell you that. Abraham, still had Isaac, and Isaac still had Jacob, and vice versa. They were still there, leading and guiding and showing that wisdom. That's needed. Because you learn from your previous generations, and that's how you are able to get ahead. That's where you had it. Isaac was still with his father. He was still, he didn't get married at 40 years old. Because understanding strategically is more conducive for you to still be with me and us building together. Working together. You had that with many times, many businesses, father and son work together. Yeah, me and my son, it's our business, our plumbing business, our mechanic business. You know, things of that nature. Work with my pop. You know, third generation mechanic, or third generation plumber, or third generation cement mason, or whatever it is. Knowing that, hey, we work together. Understanding that that's how you can build businesses. Shoot, even same thing. You got, you know, situation where shoot, you got big families, you know, especially, man, southern families, you know, but my parent came from, you know, 12 brothers, sisters, things of that nature, 13 of y'all. That's a business right there. You got all the laborers and workers right there. But guess what? Parenting and this, that, and teaching, if I had a gang of kids, things of that nature, where instill the value in them and sticking together, teamwork, build a business together. Y'all can, it don't matter what the business is. Y'all can open up a restaurant, hair salon, nail salon, beauty salon, dang, donut store. It's whatever. Y'all can do it and y'all can run it. Y'all got all your employees right there. And then build it and get to a place to where, okay, well, we had, you know, Tony and Tonya and Adrian, they was all in it, but, you know, okay, they helped build it, and then they maintained for a while, and then they helped expand, or they expanded and started doing this too, but they still helped to make sure that the business was still running because that helped take care of us, you know, and it helped give stability to our other siblings who needed a job and needed employment, you know, so we helped build that company, and knowing that we helped maintain it and build it, and making sure that we help sustain it and make it thrive, because we got to work together. That's very important, and that can save you. Because how do you think the other nation do? How do you think Esau, especially the Asian? That's exactly what they do. They do it within their whole communities, because they understand the value system and knowing how if I help you and we all pitch in and help you, we get you straight. Cool, you good. That's going to help the rest of us, and then we help get him straight. Okay, now you and him are good. Then we're going to get him straight. Okay, good. Okay, now 3 of y'all straight. Okay, then we get him. Cool. And then finally, okay, all y'all got me. We good. Now we all good. And we make sure we get our kids, keep our kids thriving in that. But that takes a lot of work, effort, trust, discipline, patience. A lot of things our people we don't want to pour all that into. The first thing we say, why he going first? Why not me? Shoot, I need it more than him. Well, shoot, who? Why he? How come I could? It's everything is God, Lee. Just help the man. We just help him and always, man, make a pact. Shoot, you want to sign it on a sheet of paper? Let's go ahead and do it, but let's build to get it to where, cool, we can help each other out. But that's what they do with businesses. Even with households, I would do with cars too. Okay, so-and-so need a car. We all going to sit and make sure so-and-so get a car. We finally got him his car. You know, now we can work to get so-and-so their car. That's the way they do. They strategize in that way. Those are all tactics that work out. And that's no different than what we did. Same thing in the scriptures. Get the book of Acts. Get Acts chapter 2 and read verse 42 through 45.
The book of Acts chapter 2, verse 42. And they continue steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and in breaking of bread, and in prayers. And fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. And all that believed were together, and had all things common. And sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men, as every man had need.
See, they came together to build. They came together to make sure that they were taken care of. And that entails of a lot of sacrifice, patience, and discipline. Same thing we have to do, because to survive the time that are coming, you know, we have to make sure. And it's even then, you watch certain things like, you know, many watching Game of Thrones, things of that nature, other, you know, related things to where they have that saying, which Ned Stark and, you know, even his wife, same thing would say, which even branched off to his kids, is that, shoot, winter is coming. You know, right now it's summer, but winter's coming. And understanding the dynamic of both literal with seasons and times, and understanding figuratively as well too. Because in the summer, this is one of the things we're going to get to as well. I'm going to read this in The Art of War, Master Son, page 3. It says, the way Oh, and these are the things first. These are the assessments. Therefore, I'm going to get actually page 2. Therefore, measure in terms of 5 things. Use these assessments to make comparisons and thus find out what the conditions are. The 5 things are the way, the weather, the terrain, the leadership, and discipline. So we're dealing with leadership, and we deal a little more with discipline, but we'll deal with some of these things to where these things are very important as a whole and how they come together. So the way means inducing the people to have the same aim as the leadership so that they will share death and share life without fear of danger. So making sure that people understand the vision. What direction are we heading in? You know, that's very, very important in making sure. Now, it's not just enough to get, it's like pathos, ethos, and logos, all right? Logos is logic, analytic. You can have information, but it's not the information alone that gets the people. You still got to deal with either pathos and ethos. Ethos deal with ethics. What makes this person one to listen to is their reputation. He's been known to be of good character, good man. When you think pathos, think passion. You respond to one's emotions. I try to pull you in emotion, try to make you feel a certain way, feel the change, feel like this is needed. I really respond to your emotions. Now, a good leader is going to know I have to use all of those to try to get you in a place to understand why this is also important, why we should go this way, and making sure that people understand whatever that vision is so that they share that direction in which you're trying to go. They understand that, and they're willing to go and bend in that same direction. That's what you need. Now, it's also making sure you use the correct leadership paths or models to make sure that I'm doing that effectively. We talked about the authoritative leader or autocratic leader. Talk about the affiliative leader, but also understanding, and that's one of the biggest ways, making sure, because with the affiliative leader, making sure people are treated with benevolence, faithfulness, and justice. Then they will be of one mind, and we'd be glad to serve. When people feel valued and appreciative, which is where other leadership styles come in, they're going to be willing to go further for you than if they didn't feel that way. Having levels of, for example, being willing to be a coaching leader, willing to be able to hold someone's hand and teach them and show them how to do this. A lot of times we don't like to do that. We like to just send people like, go learn it over there, or someone else should have taught you that. A lot of times we're not as willing to guide someone along and let me show you how to be this way. Let me show you how to conduct yourself. You need to be as a woman, as a man, as a leader, as a teacher, as a husband, as a wife, as a brother, as a sister. I'm not as willing to do that. And then having the understanding that knowing, okay, there's a time as a coach to where I also, too, got to let your hand go and let you finally be, and apply it and live and learn. I can't micromanage you. I got to let you go and apply more of a macro sense. That's also, needed. Times I got to be more of that democratic leader. Times I got to see. And what the scriptures deal with, the Most High, he shows you. Certain times you got to be that democratic leader and be in a place to where you allow counsel to go forth. You don't try to put everything in a place to where, okay, just because, and even in the scripture, we had kings, but our kings also understood, just because I'm king, that doesn't mean I have to make every single decision on my own by myself. Our leadership understood the value of others in counsel, working with other minds to make wise decisions. Even the Most High teaches that. Get 2 Chronicles, chapter 18. Get 2 Chronicles, chapter 18. Start verse 18 through 22. 2 Chronicles chapter 18 and verse 18 through 22.
The book of 2 Chronicles chapter 18 and verse 18. Again he said, therefore hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting upon his throne, and all the host of heaven standing on his right hand and on his left.
So the Most High was having a council. He's having a meeting. Read on.
And the Lord said, who shall entice Ahab, king of Israel, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one spake, saying, after this manner, and another saying, after that manner.
So now the same thing as any CEO of a business would. Okay, I'm having a board meeting. We're discussing different aspects on, all right, well, how should we, what is a good way? We need to increase our sales. And, you know, we have a sales department. What are some other ways? Or, you know, these are things that we're dealing with. And, okay, well, I propose we can go ahead, and if we do this or cut budgets here, that can increase here. Well, someone else says, well, you know what? If we go ahead and if we just add this and this extra fee, this will help, you know, improving this area. Someone else says, well, if we do that, then we can lose customers on this regard. So is that really the wisest thing to do? You have it. You need those things bounced around, but the CEO there to help guide, you know, those things and help lead those conversations and opens up the platform. The Most High is doing the same thing. Go ahead and read on.
Then there came out a spirit and stood before the Most High and said, I will entice him. And the Most High said unto him, wherewith?
So see, they having that conversation. He said, look, then came a spirit, because you have good angels and evil angels speaking amongst them. Okay, well, look, I'll go ahead and I'll carry this out, you know. Okay, well, I said, I hear you, but what do you propose? How so? Read on.
And he said, I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his
He
prophets.
said, look, well, I'll go out. I'm going to be a lying spirit. I'm going to lie. I'm going to be a lying spirit in all the mouth of his prophets, and they're going to be bearing a lot of false witness. Okay, I like that. That could work in this situation. Go ahead.
And the Most High said, thou shalt entice him, and thou shalt also prevail. Go out and do even so.
There we go. And I approve of that method. Go ahead, be a lion spirit, entice them, you know, and you'll also prevail. You know, let it be as thou wilt, and, you know, go ahead and take care of it and come back and give the report. That's how you run a government. That's leadership. So that's effective team building. Likewise, we got to do the same. You know, that's why we have council meetings and discussion situations. Same thing in a wise man, even in his household, will have council discussions with his wife. Because I'm the head doesn't mean I have to, you know, make every decision, but every decision I'm accountable for as the head. So situation to where, okay, well, we'll discuss it. I'll discuss it with my wife as far as, okay, well, should we do this or this is why? Okay, going this way. You know, she may say, well, okay, well, why don't we do this? Maybe effective doing this. Okay, well, we could do that. You know, so that's a possibility. Now, do you believe this over this? Why or why not? And the better that woman, the better mind of that woman, the more you're able to have those conversations. Because she creates a lot of input. So, okay, well, I can value that input and say, okay, well, yeah, it is good and wise to move in this particular area. You know, so you can have, okay, good job. My wife's a good, and that's that Proverbs 31 woman is all about. She's wise in knowing, okay, well, this is conducive for my household or my situation. This would be a better investment. You know, she's trusted with this. And even things having allowance is a privilege and a blessing because it's what it is that you're trusted with. You're trusted to handle these affairs. You're trusted to go and make these particular moves. That's important. You know, but that trust has to be gained and maintained. Trust can be broken if you're that person who you don't listen or you make a lot of unwise decisions, then trust may not be as forthright given. But if you're wise and all these things are going on good, then all right, it's good. I can trust you more, give you more ability. So those things are also very important. Now, going back to the art of war, page 4. So this means guiding them by instruction and direction. So that's very key. Instruction and direction. Because the biggest thing you're going to know is with any sort of strategy and with war, got to be disciplined. Got to be in the place to where you must have discipline. That's going back to 1 Corinthians 14:40. That all things be done decently and in order. So if you're in a situation, this is where it deals with even like the ability to fast. Practice fasting, rehearse fasting. You know, I personally like to fast every month, particularly right after the new moon. Because a lot of times you don't always feel like fasting. You don't want to do it. And certain times, man, I want to eat, but nope. Just go ahead, set up right after new moon. I'll go ahead, fast a few days, and then I work out while I fast. So I try to do 2 days, 2 to 3 days. All right, let me work out and fast. So because disciplining myself to where it was shoot, I have to be in a mindset to where I can push myself even in a state of fatigue, and I really don't want to. Let me push myself, to that level. Because in the Maccabees, shoot, they was fasting 3 days. They was still going out to war. They was tired. You read about that in the book of Maccabees. Okay, well, that time may have to come again. Whether directly because, hey, want to fast and ask for that grace and mercy of the Most High, or because of just the siege and famine, hard times, don't have it like that, but yet and still got to deal with all these hardships and all these dangers. You got to make sure to where I have the discipline, even though I'm hungry. My wife or wives and my child or children, they have to eat. And I have to sacrifice so that they can eat and that they can be well. And then that's leadership. That's guidance to make sure that they eat, that they're good. And that I wait to eat, and that I wait to have whatever provision to make sure that they don't go without. And that if I can, dividing things up and rationing what resources we have to make sure we don't overuse our supplies. But if you're always in a place of excess, pigging out, and never in a place of learning discipline to where in that area I have to be more reserved. I can't gorge myself on all this food or all this water because we need a rationing because we need it for these days to come. Until we find more provisions, or the Most High blesses us with an increase of quail, honey, locusts, fish, manna, whatever it is, he can do it. And that's what we deal with Joseph and Moses. But you got to make sure you prepare like Joseph, but have the faith to where the Most High come through like with Moses. Both was in Egypt, but two sides to the coin. Prepare like Joseph, but also, Most High can come through like with Moses. So, but you got to be prepared for both, not knowing when he'll come through. So that's one of the big things too. So now, going on, and the next area, like we talked about, did you have something?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Going out is, like we talked about, another point mentioning is, the weather. Not just in the place of what we think, yes, it is important to make sure. It's crazy. Shoot, even Ishmael be like Israel. War be seasonal too. It's time. Winter comes, it's like off season. That is like we not fighting the same time. And then any strategy, especially war, knows that, okay, certain season, that isn't the best time to fight or go to war because the harsh weather, it starts to wear on the body and the mind. You don't want to be in a place to where I have to lead others and guide others through harsh terrain unnecessarily or harsh or inclement weather unnecessarily. That's how you end up getting sick. That's how you end up being in a place to where you start suffering because it's hella cold out here, and I still got to carry on, and then it starts to wear away at you mentally too. You start disconnecting from the fight and the battle because I'm worried about, just trying to stay warm out here. Why we come out here right now in the first place? So those are things too, like the art of war, things of that nature. It talks about, and knowing to where, like I said, operation should not be carried out in winter or summer out of concern for the people. So in having, like it says in ancient times, and this is page 5 of the Art of War, so in ancient times, many soldiers lost their fingers to frostbite on campaigns against the Huns, and many soldiers died of plague on campaigns against the southern tribes. It's because of carrying out operations in winter and summer. So, and it said, don't go into another's territory at unfavorable times. It's all things may be lawful, not expedient. May not be expedient to do this right now because it's going to further jeopardize my men or my people or my kid, my spouse. Now's not the time. Let's take care of this later or earlier. It's no different than what they say like with your house or your car. It's okay, we're getting in the cold season now. Well, the wisest thing to do is before the cold season, make sure that your heater works. Not wait till it get cold and then When you need it, it don't work. You want to look prior to that season. Same thing, you don't want to wait till this winter. Now I got to get a raincoat. Now I got to get a jacket. You want to get that while it's summer so that you're prepared for winter. Right now, you want to be evaluating to make sure you have looking to make sure everything you got for summer and the winter, get it while it's cheaper, while it's on sale, and while I don't have to need it in the moment. That's part of preparing and planning. So that way you're prepared when that time and that season actually comes. Same thing with crops. Our people wouldn't worry about, all right, shoot, this winter, what we going to do? You start preparing for winter season the crops before and putting away and storing because you know things is going to be dead. I'm not going to be able to reap the same way as I would if it was spring or summer. So those things are very important, to make sure that one does, and also understanding, I dealt with earlier, like Game of Thrones figuratively, when it come down, the winter things of nature, it's always, shoot, winter's coming. It ain't summer, it's winter coming. These are summer soldiers, these ain't winter soldiers, and winter's coming. It's like, what's this whole big thing, and it's always winter. Well, understanding winter is very harsh. Winter is a very harsh time of the year. You got to deal with levels of, depending on where you live, a lot of rain, a lot of cold. A lot of times to where with that rain, that cold, that snow, now is a place I risk getting sick. Risk things like frostbite, things of that nature, especially being myself. I have to rely on others to help stay warm. Bundle up, even animals. During that time, they all be, try to bundle up because it's like, man, it's cold out here. And if you ain't careful, you lose your life. Especially being by yourself in this inclement weather. You end up, get some frostbite, say goodbye to them toes, finger, whatever it is, that foot. That's it. You got to be prepared because this is very challenging and hard times, and we have to understand the value in relying and leaning on each other. Just like for us, you would say, shoot, right now during COVID, it's like, shoot, winter's coming. Hard times. And even further is shoot, we ain't even in the depth of winter because we're going to need to rely on each other, especially as people and even primarily as Israelites, to make sure that when things become real bad, need to be because measures of where they trying to put mandatory vaccinations or being in a place to where, police brutality up, the Klan, whatever it is, Esau versus Israel, whatever it is on the horizon that we prepared and can rely more so on each other to uphold through those times. Otherwise, we're going to fail. Because this isn't a walk, something you can do alone. You need a community. You need brothers and sisters to rely on to your left and right to help you get through these times. And not having that, you're going to end up succumbing to certain dangers, harms, even spiritual vices, and not having that support that you need through having a community, through having brothers and sisters. Get Galatians chapter 6, verse 1 and 2.
The book of Galatians chapter 6, verse 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted.
How can you do that if you're alone? If you don't have nobody. You can't, like the brother said. It's not possible. How can you have a situation where if I'm overtaken, I'm going through it? Spiritually, I'm down and out. I'm stressed. I'm not there. I'm not focused. Need someone to help and say, hey, lift your head up. It's all right. Mm-hmm. Be strong. Be of good courage. You need that. Shoot, heck, even Christ needed it. When he knew he was about to die, he asked the disciples, like, man, y'all can't even stay up with me? I'm sorrowful unto death. Like, man, I'm going through it. I'm sad. I'm over here crying like, man, I'm finna die. He had a moment. He had those moments. Even there's other places in the scripture to deal with that, man, he rested. Even places where, man, he was sad, he wept, things of that nature. You know, so you human just like the rest of us and subject to those emotions. So you're going to have that, and that's why you needed to make sure. If Christ just knew he could do it alone, he would have never got the disciples. Can we be followers of you? No, for surely the Son of Man walketh alone. He would have said that. He ain't say that. Read on.
Bear ye one another's burdens.
Bear ye one another's burdens. How you going to bear another's burdens when ain't nobody next to you? Ain't nobody there. Because there's levels of correction, accountability, help, security. So many things that come with having that other person there. That's very key to your productivity and overall health and well-being. Those things are necessary. Read on. Is that all that?
And so fulfill the law of Christ.
Right, exactly. Which is, get that 1 Corinthians 12, 25, 26 that we got to have. 1 Corinthians 12, 25, 26.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 25. That there should be no schism in the body,
And no schism, no division.
but that the members should have the same care one for another.
Exactly. Should have the same what?
The same care one for another.
The same care one for another. That's very important. We got to have the same care one for another. Now from there, let's go ahead and move in the situation. So now it says make sure we have the same care one for another. Now this other thing I wanted to get. Let's make sure. Let's get the book of Ezekiel, chapter 13 and verse 5. Then we can get Joshua 4 and 13, and then Proverbs 21, 31. Get Ezekiel 13 and 5.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 13 and verse 5. Ye have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Lord.
So now that's the biggest thing. We have to go in, and when you have, the hedge is supposed to be, generally, when you have a hedge, you have a wall of defense, generally. You know, so most I'm saying you haven't made up that defense nor filled in the gaps, because certain times you can have that wall, that hedge, but certain times it's gaps. There's areas to where one can get in. You have to go and fill those areas to where you ensure the security of the people. You have to deal with your household, your nation. So those are things to where we're responsible for doing and making sure that we're complete in whatever areas that we need to be. So, and this is especially a time where you want to make sure, if there was ever a time to start taking preparation more seriously, it's getting more and more serious as to why you should prioritize it and not continue to sleep and put it off or procrastinate as others do. Because lo and behold, let something happen. You don't want to be in a place to where it's not a good feeling when I know I'm not prepared for this situation. That's not a good feeling. That's not something you want to have, especially when you have others that are looking at you for leadership and guidance. Your kids are going to be looking at you as a mother. You know, it's because you're the nurturer. It's nurture me, provide, be there. And it's like, I can't help you in this situation because I didn't do what I needed to do as that mother. Same thing, the kids and the wife then going to turn and look at the husband. What are we supposed to do, baby? And what are you to tell her? Shoot, I don't know. That's the wrong answer. What you should be saying, even then, if your answer is right now, I don't know, it's I don't know, but I will find out. I will see. I will learn. And this is what I got to do to learn and get ready. Make sure that I'm good. So now, let's get Joshua 4 and 13. Let's get Joshua 4 and 13.
You ready?
Yep, go ahead and read it.
The book of Joshua chapter 4, verse 13. About 40,000 prepared for war.
They were what?
Prepare for war.
They just went out.
Prepare for war.
They were prepared for war. They were prepared. They planned, strategized, trained. They prepared for what was needed to take care of that particular area. That's what we have to do. We got to prepare. You got to be in a place where knowing that, okay, let's start with the basics. Prepared for a power outage. Prepared in the event of a fire. Prepared in the event of a flood. Prepared in you know, situation where, hey, even if there's just a thief that breaks in, you know, preparing those things. And then prepare for more of the dangers the scriptures say that are going to come. Let me make sure that I have more. I can't just rely on being able to go to the store every single day. What if I can't go to the store for days? What if I can't go all week? Do you have things that you can prepare and eat? Doesn't mean it's going to be the most comfortable times, but guess what? We'll eat if we had to for a week or 2 weeks. Then you start to build. What about a month? What can you prepare to make sure that I have things stored up for a month, 2 months? Just if need be. What can I have? Let me set more water aside. Let me get better storage containers to store water and store water properly. Store it so that I don't have to worry about mildew in the water. Store it so that I don't have to worry about oxidization. Store it so that I don't have to worry about other things getting in to taint the water or things of that nature. Just, you know, looking into things, just knowing that I'm doing things the right way. Measuring twice and cutting once. That's what you just want to do carefully. You know, preparing the right food that I need to have to where, and how to store things properly to where, okay, let me make sure I can properly store up food for the next 5 years, 10 years, having a long-term food storage. Those things are important because you never know. Which, give you the hint, get Mylar bag. Mylar bags, food saver, heat sealer, 5-gallon buckets, gamma lids. So many things of that nature to where you have it and get 5-pound, 10-pound, 20-pound bags of certain grains, oats, you know, rices, things of that nature. Have it, go ahead and store it and put it up. You can either get someone in your community that goes ahead and show you how to do it, or, you know, hey, watch YouTube you have to and learn how to store, do things of that nature. So that way you can be better prepared. A little bit of something's better than a whole lot of nothing. Doesn't matter. You ain't got to be the best person, even in shape. You ain't got to be bench press 500 pounds and squat 1,000, whatever. No, just exercise. Even that is, you just dance, you know, 4 times out of the week. If that's, you know, area exercise, get your body moving. Whatever you have. You take Zumba, whatever. Okay, that's something. Something's better than nothing. That's the area to start taking care of your health. So there's many ways to get started. You just don't want to be in a place to where you get caught like a thief in the night, especially when the Most High gives you the playbook and the warning of what's to come, but yet and still you did nothing to prepare. So take not only your life, but the life of your family, your friends, you know, seriously your salvation, and making sure that you prepare for the dangers ahead because winter's coming. So with that, go ahead and say shalom in this, you know, particular lesson. Time for war, you know, make sure that, you know, as a man of war that you prepare. All right. With that, go ahead and say shalom and close it out.
Shalom, shalom.